Welcome to the station where the music blasts through. Because life is fun. With
99.1 FM.
Surprise your family today with a nice vanilla-flavored cake made with Maid Marian cake flour. It's perfect for the birthday, anniversary, special occasion, or just celebrating the joy of having your family together. So get a pack or two of Maid Marian cake flour to make that moist, fluffy, vanilla-flavored sponge cake, donut-shaped cakes, Swiss rolls, and other delicious baked goods. Bring on the smiles with Maid Marian cake flour. Made and packaged not by hand by Nomilco, the National Milling Company of Guyana.
National Milling Company of Guyana.
Craving a meal that's big on flavor but doesn't break the bank? KFC has got you covered with the KFC 3-piece meal deal. Get 3 pieces of chicken, fries, mac and cheese, a biscuit, and a drink. All for just $2,200. It's the perfect deal, available every day. Enjoy your 3-piece meal deal at KFC today. KFC, it's finger-licking good.
Attention seafood suppliers. Dave's, the largest purchaser of fresh fish from Guyana, is interested in buying from you. Dave's deeply cares about bolstering the local economy and is looking to begin business with an eager seller of fresh fish and agro products. Dave's needs a constant supply of snapper, butterfish, bangameri, bundari crab, sheriga crab, white-belly shrimp, bon carilo, edo, saijambaji, and more. Contact Dave's West Indian Imports at 21 Middle Street, Viceless, East Coast, Demerara. Telephone 501-4087 or 644-8999. Dave's will purchase.
Looking for quality lumber for your dream home or an upcoming project? Then make Builders Lumberyard your premier provider. We provide a full selection of rough and dress lumber, such as Green Heart, Purple Heart, Kabakali, all types of mixed hardwood, Silver Bali, Ditarma, and many other species. We also stock clean and knotted pine doors in various sizes, qualable posts, farm boards, plywood, and all types of molding. Orders can be cut to any specification and delivered to your worksite. With over 25 years of experience in the lumber industry, we are determined to provide a quality lumber that meets our home builders and contractors' every need. Builders Lumberyard and you will always be a winning combination. Visit our main office at 12 Lombard and Deroy Street or our branch office at 66 Ben Street, Georgetown, or telephone 225-9530 227-0904.
Another program of the Sean Devers Sports Watch. It's Tuesday, November 11th. We're still in the year 2025. On this program, we talk squash and about the senior CASA tournament that's being held in Guyana later in the month. Our guests tonight are Guyana Squash Association's tournament director, DJ Dias, Guyana Squash Association's link with the QC Sports Club, Squash Club, that's Rosanna Bolkan, and she's linking with the QC Club, Hannah Singh, and we were supposed to hear from former Caribbean champion and sportswoman runner-up of the year, Ashley Kali, but she is unfortunately not been able to finish her gym work in time, and that's more important. She's practicing for the upcoming CASA, which DJ will give us more information about. But she said that was coming at 8:30, but now she's in the gym, and it will take a longer time than that. Tonight's program comes to you with the compliments of Dave West Indian Import, Builders Lumberyard, KFC, Survival Supermarket, and the Milko. Good evening, everyone. Happy belated birthday to former world-rated boxer Clive Atwell. He's in Australia right now. He celebrated birthday, I think, on Monday. And happy birthday in advance to my son Justin Devers, who celebrates his special day on Thursday. In the news tonight in squash, well, let's talk about the news in cricket first, because I can't do a program without giving you the information about cricket. Tomorrow evening at 8:15 Guyana time, West Indies playing New Zealand in the fifth and final T20 of that series, a 5-match series. West Indies 2-1. Well, New Zealand is 2-1, and West Indies will have to win this last match tomorrow night to level the series. The fourth game was washed out. So in this news in squash, in the trophy stall junior skill level squash tournament at the Georgetown Club, in the A division, Jason Van Dyke won. In the B division, Richard Rodriguez won. In the C division, Joey McDonald won. And Elma Fernandez won in the D division, and Lester Thomas winning in the E division, with Nicholas Mohammed winning in the F division. The most improved boy was Breno de Silva, and the most improved girl was Zoe McDonald. The Heart of a Champion, a special award they give out every time there's junior squash, went to the QC Squash Club, which was recently inaugurated at the National Racket Center on Wolford Avenue. Of course, the big news for the seniors, National Sports Awards, the squash team was presented with the Team of the Year. And the Sportswoman of the Year was another squash player, the evergreen Nicolette Fernandez, and of course, the girl who is in the gym. She got runner-up, Ashley Khalid. Well, the senior squash tournament, CASA, that's going to be held now from the 23rd to the 29th in November. Of course, Jamaica was supposed to be the host, but because of Melissa, wicked Melissa, there's no squash being played there. Melissa's a hurricane, by the way. So at the aftermath of the Hurricane Melissa, Guyana, on short notice, coming up to the plate. And Jamaica is very unfortunate, because I think in 2007, Hurricane Dean totally destroyed their hopes of completing that tournament, that squash tournament in 2007 CASA, and it had to be abandoned. Good night to you. Good night to DJ. Good night.
Hey, Sean.
Good night to Miss Balkan, and of course,
Good evening.
Good night to Miss Singh.
Good night.
DJ, let us hear from you first of all. How did Guyana prepare and be ready to host the CASA at such short notice?
Well, can you hear me good, Sean?
Yeah.
Cool. Well, the reality of it is that, we weren't ready. When we heard that Melissa was going to be a thing over the long weekend, of course, there was like a lot of whispers about, okay, if it's really bad in Kingston, what's going to happen? Who's going to take it up next? Because we knew that, so CASA's qualification for Central American and Caribbean Games held in Santo Domingo next year. We knew that submission date was December 1st. So there was no way, that's the last day of the tournament. So there's no way that we could delay. So somebody had to do it. And, I'm sure like in the Caribbean society, like, okay, who would do it? Would Cayman do it? Would Barbados do it? Would Guyana do it? And basically, we had a little short meeting thinking about, could we pull this off? And I think we could. And it was really just about if we could get a good venue for them to stay in, and if it was going to be, because the goal was to break even. But based upon us looking at the cost, we said, okay, we could actually, come up with a little bit of money. We will try to donate that to Jamaica afterwards. So reality, it became a gaff, and then from a gaff, we write it down, and from we write it down, it's like, okay, we really could do this. So then we put our hands up, because it's not like if Kingston logistically couldn't hold the tournament. It was just, it's really hard to knock a ball when one of your countrymen doesn't even have a house. So basically, the optics and ethics of hosting a tournament and diverting money to sports, which could help people in Black River, which could help people in St. Elizabeth, who've lost everything. I was actually talking to the manager of the Jamaica team. He has friends in the insurance industry, and they say they're actually having a hard time locating houses because even if you make an insurance claim, there's no way to find your house where it was before. So by all means, somebody had to take up this mantle, so we just tried our best with it.
All right, and since 1977, when CASA was inaugurated in Bahamas, this is the first time a country is hosting it back to back?
Yeah, at least in my history, I'm sure. I remember I sent you that data book. Yeah, I never heard of anybody taking it back to back. So if it's anybody, it's us really.
And what was the main challenges in terms of everything, especially the funding for this tournament?
Well, firstly, the main challenge was to see if people could actually come, to see if the airlines would have allowed the change of tickets. That's the main thing. It's for us, we actually would have saved because we don't have to pay to travel to Jamaica. It was really about, okay, we know that we can do this. Now we just need to see if people are willing to come. But because of this CAC qualification, I believe it was a little bit more of an impetus for people to make it down here because people want to go to CAC.
And now we have a doubles court which you can play doubles on comfortably. And is that a major advantage?
In essence, it is. But what's different is the level of competition that CASA brings that you can't necessarily prepare for completely. When it's hundreds of people in the stands and it's you in the final, like. You could simulate that, but of course, having the facility here will be a benefit. But doubles courts are now becoming more prevalent in the region. BVI has them. Barbados is about to construct theirs, and in reality, CAC is going to be played on a singles court, not a doubles court. So it's a mixed bag in terms of plus and minuses. Because right now it's kind of tough for us to play on a singles court. We've gotten so accustomed to a doubles court. So.
So would games still be played at the National Racket Center and the Georgetown Club?
So it's 120 athletes. Like it's not going to be like the local tournaments where I start at one venue and finish at the other. I'm going to need all 8 courts. The first day, it's going to be over close to 80 to 90 matches that I have to knock out in that first day. So, yeah, it's going to be both. Primarily, a lot of the bulk of my matches are going to be at NRC, but I'm going to have a lot at Georgetown Club as well.
I know you're the tournament director, and you also had a big role to play in this last tournament, the Trophy Stall Junior Skill Level tournament. What was the idea behind having parents being coaches of the beginners?
So I'll firstly say this is probably the tournament that I had the least influence on, and I'm proud to say that because what it was, we had this tournament on the schedule, and we don't really have a lot of tournaments for the kids in I want to call the fall season, and I felt a little guilty because I was taking on so much being the tournament director for CASA. And I'm like, this is my first job. I feel like I'm leaving the kids behind. So I'm like, okay, how do I make both of these things work? And I've gotten to know the parents of the squash community quite well. And I'm like, I'm going to try out. I'm going to ask the parents if they're willing to do this. If each parent or pair of parents would take a day, and I would create the schedule, create the draw, I know that they could pull it off. Because it's a little bit different now. We're a little bit more close-knit now. Winning CASA does that for you as well. And they actually work really well as a team. Some people that you might not have seen interacting with each other all the time were really synergetic. And I was getting a lot of compliments. Oh, DJ, you should have really done this sooner. And I'm like, yeah, I really should have. But I'm sure Roseanne could attest that it's tough work sometimes. And I'd be interesting to hear how that experience was for her because I haven't had much time to dissect with her, so I'll be listening.
All right, I'm going to go to Hannah. Hannah, your team had 17 players. The QC Squash Club. How did you begin to join this tournament?
All right. So, Mistress Vulcan is one of the best persons to comment on this, but I'll give my 2 cents anyway. Um, she approached me earlier in the year, if I'm not mistaken, with the hopes of creating a squash club at Queen's College, mainly because her sons, Ethan and Egan Vulcan, they both are regional and perhaps even international, if I'm not mistaken, squash players recognized at that level. They're excellent, excellent squash players. And they wanted to see this opportunity for this sport to grow at our college, to grow in the school, because there are students that are interested in it. But as you know, squash is an expensive sport. And so she was one of the parents that stepped up and they got together with the ministry and they really began forming this club. And I'm just along for the ride and, the squash rallies. And I've grown to appreciate this because from a group of beginner students, every week we see at least 1 or 2 new students. From a group of beginners, they were able to perform exceptionally well and they were very brave in their very first tournament. And I think that this shows that anything you can put your mind to, even if it's like your first time doing it, and you practice and you put the work into it, and as long as that, of course, is facilitated for you, then you can achieve, great feats. So I just am very proud of them. I think that they did a great job. Mistress Vulcan perhaps can talk to you a bit more on the challenges or perhaps even the process of how, the nitty-gritty details of how this squash club was created. Once the students heard the squash club was created, they wanted to join, they wanted to come out, they wanted to try it. And once they got into it, they were hooked. And so even I play occasionally, and as any beginner, you might be a bit awful at it, but it's one of those things. It's like a passion sport in a sense. You begin to like it so much that you can't stop. So
And
yeah.
where do you guys practice? The National Racket Center?
Yeah, we practice at the National Racket Center. It's in walking distance from our school, which we are fortunate for that. So we walk over every Monday, sorry, from 3:30 to 4:30 we practice. We are so grateful for the contributions that the Squash Association has lent to us in terms of the coaches and the parents that come out and everybody that supports our journey. In fact, this week we had I still like to think of her as the reigning squash champion, Nicolette Fernandez, and she was in there and she was giving the kids, some of her one-on-one expertise and knowledge, and I was just so very grateful. And, it's nice to know that Guyana and this sport in particular, squash, is growing to the point that it's becoming more recognized and it's becoming more accessible. Because, when I was growing up, squash was a rich people's sport.
Yeah.
But knowing that it is now in a position where many persons, of course, it's still an expensive sport, but knowing that the government is making it a bit more accessible, the Ministry of Education especially, then that's, something that we as Guyanese citizens can all begin to appreciate.
And I know Minister Manik Chan, before she was removed or changed to a new ministry, she had put in a 5-point plan which involved sports, a foreign language, a cultural activity, and something else. But mainly sports was in that, and that was great thinking by Minister Priya. And now she's gone. I hope that the new minister would continue that plan because it's a very impressive plan, and it gives the sports more mileage. You got to get PE teachers also. But being a sports person creates a different atmosphere than going into the classroom. When I was playing for Guyana on the 19 level, I never stopped UG. So you got to balance it. just because of the time. You got to prioritize and you got to study in the night. When I was in those days playing on the 19, you had to study in the blackouts. Anyway, so the sports gives you more concentration, and that helps with your academics. Let's talk now to Rosanna. Rosanna.
Awesome.
Good evening again, Sean.
Yeah, Rosanna, how did this all come about?
Okay, so let's start from the beginning. So at the beginning, it all started with the addition of the new squash courts at NRC. And at the opening ceremony, actually, both of my sons were there. And as we were sitting there just waiting, for the ceremony to start, they said, Mom, this is a public court. And, their friends in class know that they play squash. They don't really know much about it. So they were thinking, we should start a squash club. So I said, sure. And I helped them along the way. Of course, we first sought permission from the HM and we got her blessings. We then went to the GSA, and Mr. David Finance was very helpful. And he even offered to give us 25 rackets, which really came in handy because gear is, as Miss Hannah said, it's not cheap. And then we also had to seek permission to get to, although it's public courts, we had to seek permission from the National Sports Commission as well.
All right. So this is very good. I was talking to Nicolette Fernandez. Congratulations, Nicolette, on being, again, the Sportswoman of the Year. And she was saying that in addition to diversity, this tournament, she was very impressed with it because most of the beginners improved a lot from the Tuesday to the Sunday. So she was very impressed with that aspect of it. And she's still involved with coaching, which is very good to know a double Masters champion, Caribbean Queen, still giving back to the younger players. And of course, want to say good evening to everybody in the squash fraternity. How important is squash in schools? I know you're getting talks with the Marion Academy, and not the Maze Academy, as I incorrectly wrote in the papers. And they're going to have about 26 players. That's when that's going to happen, the new term.
I believe I heard they're going to start in January of 2026. Yes, but I'd like to note as well that QC actually started with 25 players and we now have 40 players.
Okay, so they're building.
And this is just in 6 months.
Okay.
And mind you, we've only had 10 sessions because we started at the end of May. Then of course school would have closed in end of June. Then school opened, late September. And I'm very, very proud of all of my students.
All right.
They really showed a lot of courage to enter in this tournament.
Well, I know if there's one school that's interested in sports, it's QC because they produce a lot of cricketers, athletes, not so many footballers, but badminton players and all the sports. They're a sports-oriented school and they're the top school in academics also. So it shows that sports and academics can mix and grow together balanced. Hannah, let's go for a short commercial break, and when we come back, we'll continue this discussion.
Craving a meal that's big on flavor but doesn't break the bank? KFC has got you covered with the KFC 3-piece meal deal. Get 3 pieces of chicken, fries, mac and cheese, a biscuit, and a drink. All for just $2,200. It's the perfect deal, available every day. Enjoy your 3-piece meal deal at KFC today. KFC, it's finger licking good.
Attention seafood suppliers. Dave's, the largest purchaser of fresh fish from Guyana, is interested in buying from you. Dave's deeply cares about bolstering the local economy and is looking to begin business with an eager seller of fresh fish and agro products. Dave's needs a constant supply of snapper, butterfish, bangameri, bundari crab, sheriga crab, white belly shrimp, bon carilo, edo, saijambaji, and more. Contact Dave's West Indian Imports at 21 Middle Street, Vicelas, East Coast, Demerara. Telephone 501-4087 or 644-8999. Dave's will purchase.
Surprise your family today with a nice vanilla flavored cake made with Maid Marian cake flour. It's perfect for the birthday, anniversary, special occasion, or just celebrating the joy of having your family together. So get a pack or two of Maid Marian cake flour to make that moist, fluffy, vanilla flavored sponge cake, donut shaped cakes, Swiss rolls, and other delicious baked goods. Bring on the smiles with Maid Marian cake flour. Made and packaged not by hand by Nomilco, the National Milling Company of Guyana.
National Milling Company of Guyana.
Looking for quality lumber for your dream home or an upcoming project? Then make Builders Lumberyard your premier provider. We provide a full selection of rough and dress lumber, such as Green Heart, Purple Heart, Kabakali, all types of mixed hardwood, Silver Bali, Ditarma, and many other species. We also stock clean and knotted pine doors in various sizes, qualable posts, farm boards, plywood, and all types of molding. Orders can be cut to any specification and delivered to your worksite. With over 25 years of experience in the lumber industry, we are determined to provide a quality lumber that meets our home builders and contractors' every need. Builders Lumberyard and you will always be a winning combination. Visit our main office at 12 Lombard and Deroy Street or our branch office at 66 Ben Street, Georgetown, or telephone 225-9530 227-0904.
Yeah, well, welcome back to the Sean Dever Sports Watch. Just about 26 minutes past the hour of 8 o'clock. This is a question for all three of you. How important is sports in schools? And what is being done? Maybe David Finance would have been best person to answer this question, but I'm sure DJ is well equipped too. What is being done to diversify the sports and get it into the rural areas?
Well, the number one thing about squash players is they're only going to be where squash courts are. Mm-hmm. So the first thing we need to do if we want to diversify or get more people playing squash is that we need courts outside of Region 4. Mm-hmm. And that's the dream. We were also talking about, okay, let's say we had a Magic 1 and we got courts like in Region 2, in Berbice, we already have courts in Linden. How would that work? Basically, we were thinking that we would have to bring PE teachers to come and get certified from us in town, and then they will take those skills out there. But I would say our best shot at it is with these initiatives through schools. Mm-hmm. I think what Roseanne and Hannah have been able to accomplish is fantastic, it's phenomenal, and it's something that needs to be replicated. But I think the linchpin is really the personality that Roseanne has, mm-hmm. in terms of her being so dedicated to it. It'd be lovely if, when we go to Marion, that we have somebody that is as dedicated to the success of that club, mm-hmm. or wherever we go, because that same Wilford Avenue row, we're going to be talking to those schools as well to get those on board. But I would say the secret sauce for us to get it to more schools is people like Roseanne, and we have to figure out how we can replicate that. And
Hannah, what's the interest for squash in your school? We understand it's gone bigger now in terms of the school's population of students. From Form 1 to Form 6, how are the different age groups looking at squash? It's a new sport to most of them. Of course, Vulcan already plays for Guyana, and he will be a big influence, even though he's 12. But how is the interest, and which category has the more interest?
Okay, great question. So across the levels at Queen's College, we have a lot of interest in this particular sports coming from grade 7, grade 8, grade 9, and a few upper school students in fourth and fifth form. Sixth form, we haven't had much luck breaking through as yet, but we'll get there. Mainly because those are a new bunch of students, and a lot of them only stay for 1 or 2 years in the school. So by the time they're in, they have to really focus on their academics. So with clubs, it's a bit difficult to get those older students in. But what I noticed about the interest that these students have, and a large majority of students being from the lower schools, particularly in first and second form, is that a lot of them are not afraid to try new things. I think what drives their interest is just the idea that this is something that is available to them. It is accessible, easily accessible. They want to try it. They've been seeing the Balkan brothers making these big strides in Caribbean countries and internationally, and they want to be able to be on similar stages as well. And also, I think it's also that competitive spirit that these Queen's College students have beyond their academics, because they even though, in addition to them not being able to try new things, like not being afraid, sorry, to try new things, they're also very intuitively competitive. They really, really have this drive to want to be good at literally everything. I mean, it's not possible for us as human beings to be good at everything, but I like that about my students. I think that it puts them, it gives them this burning sense of ambition that will take them very far as they move forward in life. So I hope I answered your question. I know I got a bit philosophical there.
Yeah, and I heard you saying that you also want to participate in squash, which means that you're not only a teacher of academics, you're also involved in sports.
Yeah, so I'm glad you brought that up. I am also much like my students. I love to try new things, even if I will not succeed at first. And I think that if you want to be a good teacher and you want to say that you're in a club and you're representing this club as the supervising teacher, then you should at least know the basics of the sport that you're representing. And so I went to Mr. Spalton approached me. I have no experience with squash. In fact, I played badminton in high school. So I have no experience with squash, no idea what it was beyond the Fernandez advertisements I grew up with. And so I was like, what, we're just going to hit a ball against a wall? And that's what a lot of these kids had as well. They're like biases that they had moving into this sport. They were like, oh, we're just going to go hit a ball against a wall. Okay, great. That sounds easy. And then you get to it. It's the first day and you realize you got to hold the racket a certain way. You got to serve a certain way. You got to make sure the ball hits the wall a certain way. You got to get to the tee before your opponent so you can reset.
Well, you understand about the tee already.
Yeah, of course. Because as I said, if you want to be the teacher, you have to set the example. So it's been really, really fun learning about this sport, and it's been really fun seeing my students grow as well and their interests grow. And even if they don't get it right away, they practice and they practice and they think about it and they consider where they could have done a different move and how they could get to the ball faster. And they work on that, and that helps them beyond sports. It connects sports to the academic realm because it gives them that competitive streak. It builds their analytical skills. It builds their ability to cope well under pressure. And so, I think there are a lot of benefits to having sports in schools. So something that the government, the Ministry of Education, the Ministry of Culture, Youth and Sports, and the Guyana Squash Association can definitely work towards that initiative in all the other schools on Wilfred Avenue, because as it's difficult to put a sport somewhere where there are no facilities currently available for them. So
all right,
that could change.
You've got two sons who already played for Guyana at the junior level. obviously you want more people to be at the junior level. That's more important because they're the feeder. When the junior players finish, the senior players can play forever, like Nicolas Fernandes might be playing forever. But when you look at the age group, they age out. So it's important to feed the squash system. How important is getting schools involved? Like, as you said, you want the schools on Wolford Avenue. They would come use the racket center. Is that a big challenge? Hannah?
Sorry, the question is to me?
Oh,
or?
Rosanna.
Oh, well, like DJ said, to have other schools on board, you need someone there to drive the initiative. I mean, at Marion, I know that they have a lot of squash players and parents there, so I don't think they should have a problem there. I know that we have a few at Bishops, but again, you need someone, a parent, a teacher to be involved to help, organize and get everything together. So I am not sure if anyone else is willing to step up. But that's what you need basically to get this in other schools.
DJ, before we jump back to the Carifta Games, how many squash clubs are there in Guyana?
Okay, so I'm gonna have to do it on my hand. So there's one in Enmore. They have Carlin's facility, Upland and Highway, Everest, GCC if you still count it, Guyana National Racket Center, Georgetown Club. I believe that's it.
And there's a squash court at
And
the GDF
Bex
compound.
Court, Robin Lowe. Bex Court, Robin Lowe, GDF, that's right. Yeah, we've come a long way. It used to be 3 back in the day.
Yeah.
But GDF is actively playing squash right now. Like, I've met them, and they're like, they just come and watch us play. And they're right below that level of confidence where they're going to come out for tournaments, but I feel like we're going to get them soon. But they're excited that Caribbean Championships are going to be here. They've already asked me for dates when they could come and watch. So I think that was about 8. Let's say average, I guess average 2 courts per place, to say about 12 to 16 courts total we got. Ain't bad.
No. And that means you're incrementally improving with the number of courts. And I hope that's also with the level of players.
Yeah, well, what it is basically, as you know, with cricket is a very statistics-based game. And I think this sport is no different. We need more people playing squash, and then we could reap statistically that they were going to get more star players.
Yeah.
So, and talents don't have face, talent don't have race, talent don't have socioeconomic background, right? So by all means, wherever we can find the talent, it's our job to harness it. And casting the bigger nets is the most logical thing going forward. So it's a long time coming, and with these sort of initiatives that's going on with QC right now, I can't help but think that logically we're going to get more champions. It just makes sense.
And Rosanna, how do you grade this first tournament, with including the others who are non-traditional squash players like QC and those guys, those students?
Right. So actually, this was the perfect tournament for my QC students to enter because it was a skill level. I must admit that some of them were reluctant to join, but I had to explain in detail. I was like, hey, this is skill level. You're not going to be playing people who are seasoned players.
You play people,
you're going to be playing people
skill.
like yourself.
Yeah.
Yes. And it helped convince them to join. And I knew a tournament like this would encourage them to, play more and be more serious about it, because actually my son's first tournament was what we call handicap tournament. And it's slightly different, but they play with a seasoned player, but they start with a negative score. But I saw what it did to him. So I knew that as a tournament like this, the skill level, it would really push them and encourage them to play more.
And the
So
skill
I think, and
level.
I can see yesterday, you know, we had club and I can see the drive and the difference in them. And they have improved. You would not believe it. They have improved from that tournament.
Yes, tremendously. I've been there all the days, and there's great improvement from the youngsters. I saw your son, the 12-year-old one, Ethan, and playing with a guy who was like 18. And on the court, and he looked short, and the guy looked tall and big. But it's a skill. And as you said, this is better for the beginners because when you do a handicap, it's going to be a long game if you're to win, which is unlikely you would win because you start, the good player starts at naught or 3 or 4 or whatever, and it's going to be a long game even if the good player wins because they got to get 11 points. This is a great opportunity for the beginners. How do you feel about doing this again next year? Being the coordinator, being more involved in the run-ins of the Guyana Squash Association.
The question is to me, as parents were helping out in this tournament.
Yeah.
I mean, I was happy to help. I definitely have a little more appreciation for what DJ goes through every tournament. Yeah, I'm willing to always help, as DJ would know, you know. Just call me and I'll be there to help.
All right, Hannah, would you say that this was a successful tournament overall? And I saw some of your students getting first place. I think Lester Thomas goes to QC.
No.
No.
I think it was Omar.
Nicholas Mohammed
Nicholas and Omar.
Nicholas Mohammed,
and Omar. Yeah. Those two students go to Queen's College and they placed amongst the top 3 in this skill level tournament in their category because they're obviously beginners. And I feel like it was really beneficial to them. You know, I think I lost track of the question. Can you remind me before I start rambling? And
if you were pleased with the general tournament, the standards, and especially your club.
I was pleased with it. I was very happy at how quickly we were able to, because on the first day of the tournament, disaster struck when we had that whole shutdown of the power grid.
Yeah.
And so they couldn't play at the National Racket Center. But I was very pleased at the quick reaction and problem-solving skills in relocating to the Georgetown club. And then also having that, you know, extra facility, it allowed for the competition to go off in a much smoother manner than it would if we had to postpone everything, which would take longer. So I was very pleased that, you know, Mistress Balkan is very active. And I'm very appreciative of
Sorry
that
to interrupt,
as a teacher in
but
the
that
club.
was DJ's idea. We just kind of helped go along with the plan.
Oh, good. But no, I'm just very appreciative of everything that the squash club, the Guyana Squash Association as well has been doing for Queen's College, considering that we're just a baby club. And I'm looking forward to a next tournament where I can see my beginner students in a higher level than they are right now. And then I can see some more beginners doing their very first skill level tournament as well.
And would you be playing in the next tournament?
We'll see. It might be the skill level tournament. Don't have too much confidence in me. I'm old, yeah?
Rosanna, how did your sons get involved in squash in the first place? What inspired them?
So they both have always been playing sports, a little bit of everything. And actually one day a friend of my younger son, he actually played in the Saturday program. And he said, you know, hey, Ethan, why don't you come try squash? So we took both of our sons and well, the rest is history.
All right, back to Castle, DJ. How many teams are scheduled to come? The Castle is the 23rd to the 29th. When would the 4 set of teams be coming in?
First set of teams arrive 21st and 22nd. They're gonna do like a day or 2 of practice, and then it's 9 countries. It's Guyana, Trinidad, Barbados, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Jamaica, Cayman Islands, Bermuda, Dom Rep, and who am I forgetting? Maybe
Cayman
Jamaica. Did I say
Islands.
Jamaica? Cayman Islands. Yeah, so it's 9 of us, and this is going to be the biggest cast on record. No, I think we had Venezuela here once,
Yeah.
but it's definitely a bigger cast for us, especially when it's going to be about it's 9 teams, but about 8 full teams, 8 to 7 full teams.
All right, Guyana's 4 times defending champions, meaning they've won the last 4 tournaments. And if they win this one, they will join Jamaica with 5 consecutive titles. You know, Jamaica won the first 5 when Casa was inaugurated. And then they slipped off, and Barbados won, and Trinidad, and so on. So if Guyana wins, they will join Jamaica. They've got 7 titles that will carry them to 8. The first one was in 1989 in Barbados. How are the teams preparing? I spoke to Ashley this evening, and I know they're doing gym work and all sort of things. So they're still preparing as if they were going to Jamaica. So that's not a big difference. But how they will be preparing now, knowing that, and you're picking a bigger squad?
No, it's still going to be the same squad because the draw is going to be so big. For individuals, it's 4 per country, and then whatever space we have, we draw from. So in essence, it's going to be the same tournament for them. But I would say that their preparation has always been very disciplined. What's really good about these lot of seniors is that if you notice, in that 12-year junior title run, it's a lot of the same players. So basically, they've just taken those disciplinary skills that we got when we were kids, and we just kind of honed it with even more maturity and being adult-like. So, like for instance, like a lot of the training is they self-regulate. And it works out for us, and they're doing a great job of preparing. But of course, you know that we have some of the players that are not in the country right now. Shamari Wiltshire, Guyanese champion in 2023. He's in university in Philadelphia. He's been training up with his squash school. You know, the Inns cousins, Danielle and Sam, they are playing in PSA, Professional Squash Association satellite tournaments. They just went to Norway. They're playing all over England. They've been getting a lot of matches in. Mary's, I think she's in Costa Rica right now training. So yeah, we're pretty scattered right now. But
so all these players would be available for Casa?
Yeah. Correct. They're all coming down in time.
I wish the cricketers would have been available for West Indies. They're going all over the place too. But that's another different story. Yeah. How are you dealing with all of this? And what is your team like?
In terms of the national team or the governing team?
Your building team, organizational team.
Well, this board has seen a lot of CASAs. I've been doing this since I was like 15, 16. So I think this is like my 5th or 6th CASA. Rose has probably seen CASA in Guyana about 3 or 4 times. So basically, it's a lot of muscle memory at this point. It's really, what the advantage is, because we did it last year, we could just pull out all the pieces of paper to be like, oh, hey, let's go and talk to this supplier. Let's go and talk to this person who's willing to help out. And what's really good, people know this is an emergency situation. We just got to say, we're stepping in for Jamaica. We're trying to help out with Melissa. And the Caribbean community becomes alive, and they're willing to give us everything that we need. They're like, what? Usually it takes a year to prepare for this tournament. We got 12 days.
And how is sponsorship coming?
Pardon me?
How is sponsorship coming?
In the first 3 days, Dave has managed to rally a lot of funds. I think at minimum we're gonna break even. At maximum, we're gonna send Jamaica home with a nice check to help those Jamaicans that have lost their homes.
Yeah, that's a wonderful gesture.
Yeah. Oh no. Even for me, so I was supposed to be the tournament director in Jamaica, and like I'm like, okay, if it does go on in Jamaica, I want everybody all over the Caribbean to bring clothes. I want them to bring a little US in their bag, and let's just come together to see if we can rally it. And when I was talking to other Caribbean islands, they're like, yes, let's do it. So in reality, it's like how I'm sure Hannah has seen is that the Guyana squash community is very tight knit. It's very like close community, family oriented,
Yeah.
and the Caribbean is the same. Like we're all in this together. I remember getting calls to be like, DJ, what's going on in Jamaica? Because everybody wants to know first if the tournament's going on, and if our friends are going to be okay. Like even when we go abroad, like for instance, let's say like when Nicolette wins a Masters tournament, it's not just Guyana winning; it's the Caribbean winning. We have this sort of like groupthink that's really beautiful. And I hope all y'all listeners out there, you're very welcome to come and see it for yourselves. It's quite entertaining.
And it's free.
Free. We don't have that's a big question. Like I remember, like because a lot of sports they usually like charge at the door to come in, but I believe because squash is so not well known that we feel that if we was to put that at the door, like that's against our MO. Our MO is as many people watching our sport, as many people playing our sport as possible, a racket in every hand. And luckily, with the advent of streaming, we've been able to get word out. With the advent of shows like yours, who have squash on all the time, with the advent of us getting national awards, like being in the news, like it's increasing, and all we can do is throw care up on it, and just trying our best to be examples of what we want squash to be. Is not just as Guyanese squash players, but as international squash players, because this fight is happening globally. This fight for people to play squash is happening all over the place. Go ahead.
Yeah, when I first started coming to squash, that was long ago. And I told people I was going to cover squash. They wanted to know if that was something that you eat, squash.
The vegetable,
Yeah, so the squash now is being far more better promoted than before. And what are you guys doing to market it more?
Well, I will say this. Yes, squash has a socioeconomic elitist program, but there never was the boogeyman at the door stopping people from playing. It was never like, can't play squash. No, it was more about how do we break that reality.
Yeah, because a lot of people said that squash was a rich people sport.
Correct, and that is the origin of squash. And I don't ever try to break that mentality. That was the start point, and that doesn't dictate that that's what we want squash to be forever. Like if that's the case, we might as well I just go and burn my rackets now. No, I want people to play squash, so I'm gonna think of ways, where I, like, for instance, all my friends have hit a ball before. All my friends just come and watch me play. And that's what I can do. And we just need to multiply it by every single person that plays squash right now. And I know we have 42 new squash fans who are probably going to do the same thing. And I hope to see them all at the Caribbean Championships and bring their families to be like, hey, this game is so different and awesome, and it's got a great community around it. It's like I just have to have faith in that system. I have to have faith that I love this sport, and if other people had a chance, they could love it too. And just being an ambassador for my game and getting it to as many people as possible. But of course, there are certain literal things that you can do by putting squash in schools, by advertising more into the newspaper, by, like what Nicolette said in her acceptance speech, redefining who plays squash. She said that when she was bringing Carlin's his Hall of Fame award, and I wanted to mention that tonight. It's very important to redefine who plays squash, not just in Guyana, but globally.
Yes, she also told me some night during the tournament that this is going to diversify the squash sociologically and racially, everything. It's going to be one Guyana. That is what we need, unity. And I learned about race, religion, everything in a dressing room, in a cricket dressing room, because you had people of different religions, different races, and different societal levels all playing cricket together. And that's how I learned about the different cultures and so on. And sports is a big thing. Sports could unify the entire country. It could bring in sports tourism, make dollars, and it could also be a deterrent to crime, because if you're going to practice, well, that doesn't really happen with squash, because it happens with football and boxing and to some levels cricket, that you get into crime if you don't involve yourself in a sport. So that could help. And it also gets you healthier. So it eases the burden on health in the budget. So sports is very good. Anything else you want to say before we leave?
I want to invite all of our listeners to come and see the Caribbean Championships, 23rd to the 29th of November at the National Racket Center. We're going to be starting at 9, but we're going to have an afternoon session probably starting at 4. So like let's say 9 to 1 and 4 to 8. Show up. We want you to come and check it out. You're going to see a lot of Guyanese. You're going to see squash being played at the Caribbean level, and I don't have to brag enough. I know that product, that experience in itself sells itself. It's so much fun. So by all means, come and check us out.
I have one request for the Caribbean Championships. Is there going to be snacks available at those two venues? Because when I went to cover this, well, usually more so at the Racket Center, there's no snack at there.
Yeah, it's a little tough. So basically, the right person you were supposed to talk to is Ashley Khalil. Once it's an international tournament, you can bet that Ashley Khalil is going to turn up with some pulauris, some chicken foot, some mitai. But the growth of NRC, it's going to happen piecemeal. We've had talks of, having a canteen, having a drinks bar there, and it's basically things are still being constructed at the National Racket Center. We need to give the facility managers grace in that regard. Mm-hmm. I agree. It's a little tough to get some food if I forget my water bottle. I'm like, damn. So that's the part that is tough. Of course, we're going to be feeding everybody. But yeah, that is a challenge of the National Racket Center right now.
I'm talking about the spectators.
Oh yeah, for spectators, we still want to have a canteen there. And if there was a canteen that already existed at the facility, this wouldn't really be a problem. But I know that there's going to be drinks there, water, some Gatorade, and in terms of Pulauria and stuff, no, I don't think that we're going to have meals done. We're probably going to have dinner and stuff like that. But in terms of snacks and so, I would recommend it to bring.
I know the squash ladies made a very big input into the fundraising, barbecue, lunch, and so on. And I know David Finance provided on behalf of Bounty the chicken, and he himself barbecued the chicken, which is a great job for a president, hands-on. But is this tournament going to have those things at the Georgetown Club?
So it's going to be both. But the primary thing is, well, this is where I have to give hats off to Juanita Finance, which is David's wife. Mm-hmm. So basically, there's a lot of things that come for this tournament. We have to feed all these people every day. So she had to come up with a menu like stats. So she had to go and talk to sponsors to acquire food, to figure out how she's going to disperse the food in a proper manner. And more than likely, it's going to be at both facilities. But based on where everybody's going to be in the nighttime, we'll figure out where to bring the food to. And then the other thing about it is that usually when we have our local tournaments, we can dedicate energies towards doing fundraising and having like the sidebar. Like I know Roseanne was also Roseanne, I owe you $500 for a pint tart. She had a side table. She was still selling pastries and stuff and doing regular fundraising. And I could bet she probably has something cooking to in her brain to do some fundraising as well. But I wouldn't push her towards it because right now our focus is to pull off these tournaments. But you could still see like when somebody frees up their time, they could definitely like look at doing like the pastry table, doing some cutters and stuff like that to make an extra buck because the chicken don't sell itself, and of course with David, the chicken don't cook itself. So by all means, it's a group effort, and we all one dirty build dam.
Roseanne, are you looking forward for this Caribbean Championship? I know your son is going to be involved, but apart from that, you looking forward to it?
Well, he's not actually playing, but of course he will attend, to support Team Guyana and all the other teams as well. I am definitely looking forward to it. I'm very happy that Casa's here. I'm hoping that Junior Casa could be here next year, but I'm not so sure.
And Hannah, would you bring your students to see this?
Yeah. Yeah, we're definitely looking at the logistics of it, but we are going to encourage the students to go out there, encourage the parents to take them as well, because it's a team effort, I may not always be available to go with them as the teacher, but their parents can take them to check in on one or two or all of those CASA games.
Well, I saw a lot of the QC students, players, their parents were with them in this tournament, so that's good. And squash is a parent-oriented game, a family game. That's the most family unit I've seen covering any sports, squash. Anything you want to say quickly before we go? We got about...
Yeah, just encourage everybody to give it a shot to check out the games and, keep playing or try playing.
Rosanna?
No, just like Deej and Hannah would have said, I encourage everyone to come and see Senior Casa, see what squash is like playing at the, the more adult level. It's very entertaining.
All right, this is all we've had time for tonight. On behalf of DJ, Rosanna, and Hannah, and of course our technical operator, I'm Sean Dever, saying if you can be good, then be careful.
Thanks, Sean. Bye.
Dave's, the largest purchaser of fresh fish from Guyana, is interested in buying